Hello everyone, this is Alison and welcome back to my punctuation video. Now in the last video I covered 3 different meanings for double quotation marks, but in this video I am covering the first meaning. So the first meaning of double quotation marks is we use double quotation marks to show what someone has said. So if I'm saying something to you, such as, hello, how are you? That's what I've actually said. And to put that in a sentence, I would say, Alison said, quotation mark, hello, how are you? End of quotation mark. It's just a very brief example. But what I've done on this whiteboard is I've summarised it down to 10 different ways to use these marks. So we're just going to start with number 1 and we're going to work our way through them. Now this is the summary video. These aren't the actual lessons. This is just to give you a brief rundown of what you'll be learning in all the other videos. Because every single example that you see here, there'll be a separate video for each one. So let's just briefly go over this. So firstly, we basically have a very normal sentence and it would say, Jan said, comma, start of the double quotation marks, we are happy, full stop, end the quotation marks here. And then we have the opposite to that, where we put said Jan at the end of the sentence instead of at the beginning. So if we were writing the same sentence, it would go like this. The quotation marks would be at the very beginning of the sentence, and what Jan said would go here, we are happy. The comma would go here, and the double quotation mark said Jan, full stop. So that's just our first 2 examples. So we'll go down to the second example where it says, Jan asked, comma, start of the double quotation marks, how are you? And we use a question mark because we're asking a question. And then we end the double quotation marks. And then if we wanted to put ask Jan at the end, it would read like this. We would start the marks here. How are you? Question mark. End of double quotation marks. Ask Jan. And then we'll look at number 3. Jan shouted, go away. So Jan shouted, comma, this is the start of what Jan was saying, go away. This is an exclamation point, and then we end the sentence with the double quotation marks. And then the opposite again. If we wanted to put go away first, we would start the double quotation marks here. Go away is what is said. Exclamation point because it's emphasising what Jan is saying. End of quotation marks. Shouted Jan, full stop. So as you can see, these are the first 3 examples where Jan said we are happy, just a normal sentence with a full stop at the end. Jan asked how are you, this has a question mark at the end. And Jan shouted, go away, and this has an exclamation point at the end. So this is basically Jan said, Jan asked, Jan shouted at the beginning. And then on this side, which is the opposite to this, because we're going to put said Jan, asked Jan, shouted Jan at the end. And when you do this, the commas and the full stops, they're all in different places. But when we do each individual lesson, I'm covering this fully and there'll be lots and lots of activity sheets. I'm going to show you sentences that have no punctuation, and we're going to discuss what punctuation we need to put in, and then we will rewrite the sentence. So you know exactly how to rewrite a sentence when it doesn't have any punctuation at all. Now let's go down to example 7. So this is when Tim is saying something, but we break it up in the middle because obviously when Tim says it, Tim would say, when he's actually saying it, he would say, we are going away tomorrow. We should celebrate. So that's what he would actually say. But when you're writing it in a sentence, or when a writer is writing it in a book, sometimes because it's such a long sentence, it's nice to break it up in the middle and put the said Tim in the middle. So you would start the quotation marks here and you would say, we are going away tomorrow, comma, end of quotation marks, said Tim, full stop. And then we say the rest of what Tim has said. We write the rest of what Tim has said. So we start the quotation marks again and we say, we should celebrate, full stop, end of the quotation marks. But do you see how when Tim is saying this and this, we don't say at the end here, said Tim again, because it's already in the middle and he is saying both of the sentences, and that's how we write it. Now let's look at example 8. So this is when Tim is asking a question and he'll say, who are you? And then he'll say, I haven't met you before. So he might be speaking to somebody and he'll say, who are you? I haven't met you before. But when we go to write this, we can put asked Tim in the middle, like we did here with said Tim. So we start the quotation mark and then we say, who are you? Question mark, end of quotation mark, asked Tim, full stop. And then we add a little bit more because Tim said a little bit more. Start of quotation mark again, I haven't met you before, full stop, end of quotation mark. Now let's look at example number 9. Now once again, Tim has said, excellent. We will do that now. So that's what he's actually said, and he shouted this word excellent. That's why it has an exclamation point. So here we start it with a double quotation mark and we write excellent, exclamation point, end of double quotation mark, shouted Tim, full stop. And then Tim is speaking again, so we use the double quotation mark again at the start. We will do that now, full stop, end of double quotation mark. So that's just one more example. But with this one, with example 10, the last example, what happens here is the sentence doesn't stop because we are putting said Tim in the middle, but we're not actually ending the sentence. Like all of these here, this had a full stop, this had a full stop, this had a full stop. But this one has a comma, and the next word after the comma has a small letter, not a capital like these words here, because the sentence actually hasn't finished until we get right over here to where the full stop is. So this is how you do it. Start of quotation marks, we like her, comma, end of quotation marks, because that's what Tim has said first, said Tim, and then he continues from we like her. We like her, so we should buy her a present. So this is not the start of a new sentence. That's why this S is not a capital letter. So we have the start of the quotation marks again. So we should buy her a present, full stop, and then we end the quotation marks. Now this is just a short summary of 10 different examples of how you can use the double quotation marks. So I will be going over each and every one of these examples in separate videos with separate activity sheets. Now, if you're interested in watching more videos on double quotation marks or any other punctuation symbols, there's a link above, and if you go into my website, it has a vast amount of videos and information that you'll be able to use. And you can also subscribe to my email with a link in that website where all my courses are if you want further information. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video when I cover all of the different examples that I've just shown you on the board. Thank you for watching.